Hi, I want you to meet a lady called Sarah. Now, Sarah grew up in a really difficult environment. She had a father who was never there. She had a mother who really struggled with her siblings, with work, being in effect a single mum. But Sarah always felt like her life was entirely out of her control. So when she was home with mum, she never knew whether she would have an outburst, whether she'd be home or not, whether there'd be food on the table, and what she would need to do to support her brothers and sisters. And the older she got, she realized that she really struggles with accepting her circumstances and trying to make a different choice for herself. So she decided that she needed to do something to help herself. Or would she follow the same path as her mother? Would she do what her mother did to them as children? And she just felt like she needed to find out more. How did she actually do this? So over time, what she did was she had influence from one single person in her life. And you know, they say that it takes one person to change someone's life. Just one person to say, hello, how are you? One person to check up on you. One person to just show you direction. And she was lucky enough to have one single teacher reach out for her, see her potential, and also understand what was happening at home. So what this person helped her do was to focus on her now, just focus on her homework, because she was doing her A-levels and she knew that that was her escape route. Then she focused on just lessons in school and just surrounding herself with just being in that moment, and then dealing with home as an external environment, something she could never control, but control what she could. So then she started to work on, like, she could make dinner for her siblings, and that was a level of control. Then she could choose to be out of the home. That was her level of control. She could never control her mother and outbursts, but she could control that. What this meant was that Sarah started to develop her locus of control. And when you believe, so this is a concept that where you believe, the control element lies in your life. Now, people with an internal locus of control believe that their own actions shape their outcomes, while those with an external locus of control feel that life just happens to them with not much input and it affects everything they have. So someone with an internal locus of control, or a good locus of control, might say, I didn't get promoted this time round, but what they have given me is really good areas to improve my skills, so that in 6 months or 12 months time, I can reapply for a similar or different role, rather than the opposite thinking, which is, I didn't get that job, my boss hates me, they all hate me, luck's always against me, I'm never ever going to do any better. Now, when we look at what kind of person has an internal or external locus of control, they generally, when we have the latter, which is everything's unfair, I can't do anything with life, we often find that those people have had a massive trauma response in their life. They have got past trauma that's unresolved, and therefore they are in a uncertainty mindset, and they are driven by fear. They're driven by the fear of failure, of guilt, of shame, of all of those emotions that trauma brings for us. But what happens if we can move that mindset, if we can get rid of how your body and mind fundamentally thinks and feels about your trauma responses, and we can get you to control things in your life? Because often we just don't see the opportunities in life because we are so burdened by our trauma. It leads to this mass sense of helplessness, of being have no power over anything that happens in your life. That is a really, really, really difficult position to be in. When we see our world as being unsafe, we really struggle to change it ourselves. We are not intrinsically motivated to do this. And then the outcome is our relationships suffer, generally with the people we love most. And it shifts us to be in a constant state of not being in control. And as I mentioned before, if you don't have any real techniques or tactics to deal with that, we have this overwhelming sense of feeling that we'll never, ever work towards good goals, we'll never be able to recover from setbacks, and that we cannot take responsibility for our relationships. So trauma causes this massive conflict. There's a part of us that feels that and a part of us that feels that. So conflict is massive, and that then means that we have massive difficulties with communicating things like boundaries that actually make us feel more empowered, setting up things that are really good for us. And that's the issue we have. Now, if you've had past trauma and you believe that this is a part of what's happening for you, or there's a sense of loss of control, this is not uncommon when we've suffered trauma, when we suffer anxiety, when we suffer symptoms like depression. But all of that is just because of what's happened to us in our past. So our trauma recovery method program works exclusively on past. Then we have to deal with the now, and then we've got to deal with the future, because that's how the brain works. Your brain wants to know, right, can I make sense of that stuff that's happened to me 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 30 years ago? Why is it so overwhelming to me now? And why do I have no sense of my future? It's out of your control. It's a trauma response. It is from your triggers and your activations. So if you think that's what's happening to you and you feel that you need some help, our program is based on a system that works. We have a process that helps you reestablish your foundations. We rebuild that for you, and then we give you the toolkit. We give you the tools that helps you to rebuild, that helps you pack away the trauma, that helps you with your relationships now. And perhaps it's not just relationships that's been affected. Perhaps it's your work environment. Perhaps it's your friendships. And then to move that onto being future focused, because the minute you become in control, or you take control, even if it's one or two areas of your life, the brain automatically moves to what's next, what's next, what's next. And that is the secret key. So our trauma recovery method program helps you to do that. So if you're interested, watch our masterclass. The link will be below this live right now. Book a consultation with us and let's see how we can get you working. Wherever you are in the world, have a super, super amazing day. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.